Nebraska football, the calm before the storm. And what I mean by that is it is spring break. Campus is shut down. The football building is empty for the most part. The players are gone. Everyone's on spring break. But a week from today, we will be kicking things off with spring practice. So this really is the calm before a very, very big spring for Matt Rhule.
Yeah. Sean, I think you say that because this is really the first year of expectations for Matt, right?
I mean, I felt like last year had expectations because of how on paper
they did,
how the first 6-7 games lined up.
I think this is the first season. Can I say that this way then? First season of significant expectation.
Well, and he's in year 3, and
right.
Matt Rhule has sold how hard year 3 is, big year 3 is in his deal. And year 1 wasn't a great year. Year 2, you can argue they won 7, and 9 was very much attainable.
Just an okay year.
Yeah,
I mean, you can definitely sell progress, but you couldn't have sold progress if they lost the bowl game.
They played par golf.
Yeah,
it's probably the best way to say it.
Yeah, it's there was a really thin line in that conversation. It's pretty simple.
And they had some chances at birdies, and they missed them.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. If they go and finish 6 and 7, lose to Boston College, how do you come away? And
I still go back to the UCLA game, how much that week changed everything. It led to Dana Holgorsen.
Led to Phil Snow.
And we don't know.
Oh, not really Phil Snow.
Well, right? Phil Snow came in that week. That's when he came in on campus.
He did come in on campus. He had been helping though. Yeah. So maybe it kind of led to Phil Snow.
And Phil Snow's presence was all of a sudden here, which it wasn't before.
Yeah.
And I know he had been consulting from afar, but big difference when he walks in and starts kind of watching things.
It did lead to him, and now he's got a full-time job.
And then a couple weeks later, it led to Tony White moving on.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. The UCLA, and I'm sure you, like I, remember it like yesterday, sitting up there. That was a bad loss, Sean. It was a bad loss. I mean, and when you think of the last few years and a lot of bad losses, that one sticks out.
Especially when Eric Bieniemy basically got fired, like after the season ended.
Yeah, and he just had he kind of, wouldn't you say, in Sean Callahan parlance, he kind of tooled up Nebraska,
sliced him up.
Yeah, he kind of tooled up Tony White. I'm not sure the boss was very happy that day, Matt Rhule.
No, I mean, they held the ball for 14 of the first 16 minutes of the game.
Right. You can't let that happen. You can't let UCLA come into your house and do that.
And it was it was a very real thought though, that after that loss, they weren't going to a bowl.
Right.
Because they were going to have to beat Wisconsin for the first time in over 10 years.
Well, they did that.
And they did that, thankfully.
Yeah.
But at that point, think about Wisconsin the week before that. They almost beat Oregon.
Yeah. So
what are you thinking at that point? Wisconsin lost 16-13 or whatever by 3, a very, very close game to Oregon.
Yeah. So what are you thinking?
And that's you're going to have to beat this team to get to a bowl. And I mean, look.
Now they bludgeoned them.
They did.
But
on the surface before the game, and we didn't know like the receiver Will Pauling wasn't going to play, and we didn't know that the really good defensive back for them wasn't going to play.
Mm-hmm.
They're the 2 best players.
Yep.
So Nebraska got some breaks, but that win, I don't think we can understate how big the Wisconsin win was.
I couldn't agree more. And we saw, God, now we emphasize the horrid nature of the UCLA loss. One vision I have of last season was the joy in Nebraska players' eyes when they're hoisting that trophy, the Freedom Trophy, after the Wisconsin.
Well, the students charged the field.
And those players, those Nebraska players, they had that trophy, and that was a big thing. And it was, and as a observer, it was nice to see that. It really was.
It was emotional too, just thinking about them making the bowl, knowing how hard it has been for Nebraska going back to 2016.
Yeah, for sure. Now, so they got the bowl game. They won 7 games. So this year, I mean, it's sort of, the conversation's evolved organically, and there's nothing wrong with really saying it. Nebraska, if you're looking for progress, it's 8. It's 8 wins. It's this sort of methodical move up to 8 and hopefully above that. But if they win fewer than 8 in the regular season, you're going to be like a shoulder shrug, right?
Well, and look, I think it sets up early great for them when you start to like think about the schedule. Arrowhead Stadium opener, that's going to be all red in there. It's going to be awesome. You got 2 games at home that you should win easily. And then
are you still doing this like it's 1998?
Well, no, you're playing like MAC teams. And
I know.
You got 2.
I've seen MAC teams come to Lincoln and win.
Okay, Houston Christian.
I know where you're going. Don't lose
Houston
your composure.
Christian Stadium shares a parking lot with Walgreens.
I've been there.
It did. I was like,
stop. You better be careful there, Sonny.
You got Akron.
Hey, Sonny, be careful.
Akron's one of the worst teams in the MAC. So you got, that's a great first 3, but then you are the only team in the Big Ten that opens with 2 straight conference home games.
Oh, Michigan, here they come, baby.
But I would rather have Michigan there than late.
Yeah, I would too.
Like, put them in that September heat.
I would too.
Like,
they were pretty good.
They're pretty good last time. I know, but put them in here.
I don't want to start talking too tough about Michigan,
but I like that setup. And then your first true road game is Maryland, who has just been, they've lost to everybody.
Michigan's kind of lost its way. I'm sorry. Maryland seems like it's lost its way a little bit.
Then Minnesota, we know, is always, PJ Fleck always has them ready, but
what's Fleck's record against Nebraska?
Frost is the only one that beat him.
Pretty good.
And then Northwestern, and obviously US.
It's a pretty good schedule.
But I think the first 8, it's a good first 8 to start out the year.
Yeah, I'm not pushing back, Sean. When you just look at Big Ten schedules across the league, Nebraska's is about as manageable as it gets.
With the 2 home games to open. Like that does not happen.
Does not happen.
No. But this is the year you get 5. So if you get 5 home games, it kind of has to flip that way. So
calm before the storm.